Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, it's my first ranking of my Spider-Man rankings I'm going to do. And today I'm ranking all 4 of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies. From Homecoming to Brand New Day. I'm excited to do this, and it will kind of give you guys how I feel about Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies as a whole. But also, it will kind of give you a little bit of a reference to when I rank all the Spider-Man movies, including Tobey Maguire's, Andrew Garfield's, with Tom Holland's, when I do that. So at least you'll know my Tom Holland order. Yeah, but this is one that I definitely want to do, so let's do this. Coming in number 4, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. I think that Homecoming is a very, very good movie. I think that this movie gets too much hate now, because of the Escape podcast and things like that, because you don't have you don't have the same level of action as you do in the TASM or the Tobey movies, but you do have an amazing villain in Michael Keaton's Vulture, which I love Michael Keaton. I think he's a great Batman. I think that he's a great Vulture, and they mix the Green Goblin stuff with the Vulture very, very well. The Vulture glider is pretty much the Vulture wings, so you get some really cool stuff like the Goblin would do with his glider, but with the Vulture wings. And you get that unbelievable twist of Peter Parker's love interest in the movie being black, and then Michael Keaton being white, and you don't make that connection until that reveal happens when Peter's at the door and Michael Keaton opens the door. You're like, oh my god, what? That's crazy. That's still one of the shocking moments in cinema history ever. Having Homecoming, it's a very great movie that takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, and kind of gives us a street-level Spider-Man and a high school Spider-Man that we haven't really gone, because before this, we only really gone Tobey and Andrews, which, Tobey Maguire is in high school, but you don't really, I love that first Tobey film, but in the middle of the movie, they take him out of high school, and then in the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, he's in high school for all of his first film, but you don't buy him as a high schooler because he looks so older than everyone else in that goddamn school. And then, you buy him more as a college-age Peter when you get to TASM 2, and you buy him more as that Peter Parker. But Tom Holland, you buy him as the young teenager that's going to school. Yeah, it's a little out of character that he's in school and waiting for the clock to go out and be Spider-Man, which he actually would prefer being in school than going out and being Spider-Man. But also, it's one of those things where it's Spider-Man is something that he has to do for the protection of the city. So it's one of those things where it's Homecoming is very, very good. I love how they interlace all this C to D-list villains, like the Tinkerer, the Shocker, and we even got the post-credits Scorpion that we actually don't see until Brand New Day, which is really exciting. But unfortunately, that movie kind of leads into, especially with Vulture, kind of leads into the whole thing of this, whole thing of the Morbius and that type of stuff. But I don't think Tony Stark is as heavily in this movie as people think that he is. Honestly, the trailers and the posters kind of did this movie a disservice, because they put Iron Man and Tony Stark all over the posters and the trailers. Which you would have thought that, especially by the shot in the trailer where Spidey and Iron Man were swinging and flying together, you were like, okay, so at the end, Iron Man's going to help Peter take down the Vulture. So it kind of subverted expectations. So I think that it was one of those things where it's half the people were like, oh yes, Iron Man's going to be in this movie, this is so cool. And then the audience was split, because it was oh, this feels like a Marvel template Spider-Man movie, which everyone else wants what Brand New Day is, and we'll talk about Brand New Day in a second. But Brand New Day is more this is a Spider-Man film with integrated into the Marvel Universe that is actually using all of the characters that were actually in Spider-Man comics and using them for the sake of the Spider-Man story, not just going like, oh, this is Spider-Man but within a universe of all these heroes, which Brand New Day is, but it actually uses the heroes within the story how they should be. So that's number 4. I still love Homecoming, but it's number 4. Coming in number 3, we have Spider-Man Far From Home. I think that this movie is a little overhated, especially nowadays. People loved it when it came out. I don't think, very much like Guardians 2 for me, where like I think both of those MCU movies are very underrated. And those two movies get more hate now than they did back then. Because you have the, especially with Far From Home, since we're talking about, like you have the whole thing of him being outside of New York. And like also like you don't get as good of a villain in Mysterio, even though I do think that Mysterio is a great villain. And then also like, but I honestly think that him not being in New York, I do want to talk about that because I think that that's an interesting thing to bring up, is that yes, he's not friendly neighborhood to New York. He's friendly neighborhood to all the places that they go to within the story. All the action sequences and all the stuff that Peter and Spider-Man do in this movie, if you put them in New York, it's friendly neighborhood. Like, it's only not friendly neighborhood to people because it's not New York, but it is friendly neighborhood to the places that they go to. That's just what it is. So, I think that the action is incredible. Like, the whole scene of Spider-Man and Mysterio against Hydro Man is amazing. Even the Molten Man one, the fire one, is also incredible. Him in the Night Monkey suit. Yes, that suit is not spectacular. It's a stealth suit. It's basically the MCU version of a Spider-Man noir suit, basically. So, yeah, it's very, I like how Far From Home basically does that kind of epilogue to Endgame and kind of pushes us forward into the multiverse saga. I do want to call out this critique because I think it is fair to point out this critique, but also it's called story. Spider-Man getting the Edith glasses. I like it. I don't think that's as bad as people think. Yes, sure, Tony should have thought about giving it to someone else and not this high schooler that could possibly do all those things, like blow up his friends and things like that. But I think that Far From Home has a lot more higher highs than what people give credit for. Yes, I do. I totally agree that like this is probably Tom Holland's weakest Spider-Man film, but what carries it over the edge is Mysterio, the action, and some of the more higher highs than like you don't normally people praising about Far From Home, which I really, really love Far From Home. I think that's a really good movie. Coming in number 2, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day. This movie, like, you guys have already seen my spoiler review and my non-spoiler review. I love this movie. I think it was so good. And I think that what's great is that this feels more street level than Homecoming. Homecoming felt more like a MCU street level movie, but with Spider-Man in it. This felt like a street level Spider-Man movie. I honestly think that, like, it's one of those things too where, like, Brand New Day is basically paying off, like, things from Homecoming, and it's basically Marvel was listening to fans' critiques, was like, okay, what do we want to see with MC Spider-Man? Like, it sounds like, I don't know if Tom Holland says that the spider puberty thing in the organic webs was his idea, but there's a whole argument of mechanical web shooters versus organic web shooters. So like, he's like, oh, let's do, for the people that like organic webs, let's do that. Let's put Punisher in this because me and John Bernthal love working with each other because we just worked with each other on the IC. Let's do Spider-Man together. Let's do the Hulk and use the Hulk in this movie and the way that he should be used as proper Hulk. Let's push forward with the X-Men and things like that. So it's stuff in this movie that is really, really good and is really, really high highs. And isn't really lows. I think that what's great about this movie too is all the twists and turns that come. And the thing is too is that, like, you guys have seen my spoiler review. Like, this is one of the most emotional Spider-Man movies for me. This one was the one I almost came teary-eyed to. And this movie was like, oh my god, what's going to happen with this? I'm going to be so wrecked at the end of this. And then you watch it and you're like, oh my god, like, what is going on? And then that ending comes up and the handshake comes up and you're like, oh my god, don't make me emotional. Come on, this is ridiculous. So, yeah, no, it's a great movie, and this is easily a top 10 MCU movie for me. It's one of those things where, like, Spider-Man is my favorite fictional character of all time. Not just because of, not necessarily because of the powers and stuff, even though that I do love all of his action scenes and all of his movies. I love the relatability of Spider-Man. Which I think that Batman is a great opposite of Spider-Man, right? And you'll kind of hear me talk about a little bit of that when I talk about my Spider-Man rankings, and I talk about my feelings on one particular film that's at the bottom. But there's something about Spider-Man that gives me hope. And when I watch this is a movie that gives me hope, but also makes me very emotional within the movie. And it's not predictable. The people that say that it's predictable is crazy. I don't get that at all. I think that's a very, very good movie, and I think that, like, the Punisher and Spider-Man stuff is great. I love that. I love the Spider-Man Hulk stuff. I love the Yelena stuff. I love, like, I am a little... The more I see it, the more I like the Jean Grey stuff. I did like the Jean Grey stuff the first time I saw it, but it was also like, okay, like, and then, like, when you watch the reviews and stuff of it, like, people's reviews, you're like, well, yeah, Jean did do that, but, like, at some point we need to root for her. And it's just one of those things where it's like, oh my god, like, what's going to happen next? So I'm very curious to see what happens going forward within the MCU. I'm very excited about that. Coming in number 1, we have Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie is absolutely amazing. It's my favorite movie of all time. Because my theater experience, you gotta remember, Endgame to me was a great theater experience. I went with a bunch of my friends. But watching that, no one was freaking out. Except for me. No Way Home, people were freaking out. And also the thing is too, is that, like, when Andrew came out of the portal, I was like, that's not Tom Holland. I know, I kind of knew that it was Andrew because I was like, that's not Toby's suit, that's Andrew's suit. But I didn't want to start flipping out yet because I wanted other people to... I kind of knew that if he was going to take the mask off in that scene, people were going to flip out, so... We all flipped out when he took the mask off. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, this is very, very good. And the thing is too is that, like, this is a movie that basically gives us, like, not only has Tom Holland gotten the with great power comes great responsibility speech from May, he also basically gets the Uncle Ben figures with Toby and Andrew. And they didn't have to worry about setting up a new villain. Originally they were going to make Kraven, and Kraven was going to be hunting the multiversal villains and having, like, their heads and stuff on a wall. Like, almost like how you put deer heads on hangers and stuff. Apparently it was going to be like that. I'm happy that they didn't do that because that would have been a bit weird. Because, like, this is very much like Deadpool and Wolverine. This went through so many versions. And it's like, so, No Way Home is definitely one that's like, oh my god, you've done it. Like, you've beaten into the Spider-Verse, you've even beaten across the Spider-Verse. Like, I doubt that Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to beat No Way Home for me because, like, and you'll hear me talk about this all the time when I talk about No Way Home and the Spider-Verse movies because they're kind of the same because they're both dealing with multiverses and Spider-Verse and multiple Spider-Men. Right? But, like, this was basically like This, obviously, we don't need to worry about setting up a cinematic universe because the Marvel has already done that. We just need to basically take the characters and their motivations from the previous Spider-Man movies before Tom Holland, put them into this one so they can continue that same method. And when you watch that, you're like, wow, they actually pulled this off. Because normally with Spider-Man villains, you get very concerned about how many storylines and how many characters they're showing into a movie. Spider-Man 3 has them too. So the fact that No Way Home pulled this off is bonkers to me. And the only thing you really need to worry about in terms of like understanding is watch the Sam Raimi movies and the Andrew Garfield movies and the Tom Holland movies. Like Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, Far From Home, No Way Home. That's your pretty standard like phase 1 to 2 MCU set of films, but in terms of Spider-Man movies. So like it's crazy to me that like you watch that and you're like, wow, this is really good. Like Sony pulled this off. And I can't see how Sony would have done that movie without Marvel. Because you have the Doctor Strange stuff, which is unbelievable. Doctor Strange to me works better in something like a Spider-Man or an Avengers movie than his standalone movie. So when you watch things like that, you're like, oh my god, this is bonkers. So yeah, watching that is absolutely amazing. I just love that. I think it's absolutely great. I love No Way Home. It's my favourite movie of all time, and it's so good. So guys, that's my ranking of all the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Please hit the like down below. Please hit the like button down below if you haven't already. Hit subscribe, press the little bell icon to get notified of future videos I make, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.